Check test 1 2. Check test 1 2. There we go. I think we're up and running now. A few little technical issues. Hey folks, happy Saturday. Welcome to Got You Back live stream edition. I was hoping to have us up on YouTube live at the same time here, but I can see that we are not up on YouTube right now. So apologies for that. We'll get this down soon enough. We'll figure it out. And I can't troubleshoot it as I'm doing the podcast here because, well, I got to do the podcast. So I can multitask. I'm not bad at multitasking, but there's no way I can troubleshoot a YouTube live stream while trying to host a pod here. This Got Your Back live stream, short shift edition. We'll get to Jason Strudwick in a minute, by the way. Brought to you by Mid-City Construction Management, a locally owned family company specializing in civil construction projects for over 40 years. Safety is so important to the crew at Mid-City, and they are top of the class when it comes to making sure that things are done above board and beyond required standards. They're leaders in their industry in this regard, and they make sure their employees get home safe and sound. They want to wish the same to all of you as well. They're a great success story locally, and I'm proud to have them as sponsors here on Got Your Back Short Shifts. Going to bring in Jason Strudwick here, and we're going to hope it works. So Jason Strudwick, do you have Ryan Rishaug?
I sure do, buddy. Let's do this.
Let's do this. Yeah, for sure. How are you this Saturday, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. Really good, actually.
Minor
hockey week started. What's that?
You get your workout in yet this morning?
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
You shame me. Just shame me.
I just get up. I if I don't do it before, let's say 8 or 9 o'clock, it's not happening. So I just get up and do it, and then it's done. Do the podcast and have the full day with the kids.
Full nice. I'm not liking my shot. Look at this. I'm not liking my shot. It's like it's not even. You got. But how do you like the Darth Vader toaster, by the way? Can you see that up in the background?
I do. Oh, that's a Darth Vader toaster, I guess.
Yes. Handy. And when you toast with it, it burns Star Wars into the toast.
Oh, okay. I could see that.
Yeah.
Are you unhappy with the angle? Are you unhappy with the angle or the content of your shot?
I think the size of my head is the issue I'm having. I think that would basically be the... Oh man. Hey, by the way, we're going to get to your comments and questions and such. We want to have some viewer interaction here on the live stream this morning. So stay with us. Send us your thoughts, kind of monitoring things as we go here. So by all means, any questions that you have for Struds and I, let us know. Pretty good win last night for the Oilers. Before we get to that, Struds, I'm just going to have to say, if I'm not my usual spunky self this morning, one of the birds is leaving the nest today, so the heart's a little heavy, heavy. My son Noah heading off to Kamloops. He's a journalism student, and he's starting his 4-month practicum in our old stomping grounds out in Kamloops at CFJC Television, which, by the way, was the station I got my very first job at. So I thought I was going to have him here for like another 4 months or more, and he's heading out into the world. So like I'm grinding through this morning, buddy.
Yeah, well, with a heavy heart, let's launch the podcast and do it something that's respectful for Noah, so he can be proud of his papa.
We will persevere. We will push through. It'll be interesting if he ends up in the Blazer room doing post game and stuff like that. He's a little more news focused, so I think he wants to be the hard news reporter.
Sure,
but it'll be interesting that he'll be in that old rink where, you and I combined won multiple Memorial Cups.
Yeah. Well, fun. The Memorial Cup being hosted there this year should be fun.
Yeah.
Just to be around there, right? Whether he's into it or not, it should be a fun atmosphere.
For sure, man. That city will be on fire over the next few months. So, anyways, let's get to the breakdown from last night's game. Another one of those game Struds where the Oilers go rolling into town in a game that they know they need to win. Mm-hmm. I mean, the pace of hockey they need to play to make the postseason here it's significant. And so you cannot drop games against teams like this. And, yes, they're supposed to beat these teams, but you still have to get in there and you still got to lace them up and you still got to go out there and bring energy and bring positive work habits and such. And so, no, does this mean that the Oilers' entire season is turned around here? But another game where they went in and absolutely just took care of their business.
Well, let's be honest here. The Oilers haven't put themselves in a position where they can choose to have nights off. It just you can't have that. They, as you just said, they're in a precarious playoff position. I still believe Colorado, who's behind them, is a juggernaut if and when they ever get healthy. They make me very nervous. That's a team I think that's below the Oilers that makes me nervous. But the Oilers can't control what they've done or they haven't done in the previous half season, whatever the number is. So they have to come in. They have to treat each game like it's a game 7. That's the reality. They have to go in and have to treat each game. So they did it, in Anaheim. They did it again last night, and full marks for it. But it doesn't mean you can stop. They have to continue that pace and that focus moving into the next game, which is, I guess, tonight, a tougher opponent for sure.
So back-to-back games here. Okay, let's just deal with the goaltending right away. Stuart Skinner's not going to be available. I don't believe. Doesn't sound like. That could change through the day, but I doubt it. No question here. You go right back to Jack Campbell. Hey, rather than playing a young feller.
Yeah, I think that Campbell, you're trying to build him up. And I'm not going to say it again, but I'll say it that he's going to be an important part of anything the Oilers do the second half, along with Skinner. So he's showing some traction. You got to show confidence in him. I wasn't the busiest night last night, like, for being honest. What did he have? 25, 26 shots, something like that. Like not a massive night for him, and not taxing. It wasn't like 26. He was like, not like 10 penalty kills or something. Like it was a reasonable night, not a long flight over from San Jose to Vegas. I think he comes back tonight and you roll him out there because I think you're building something in Campbell, which is his confidence, and he needs it. The team needs it. And my God, the coach needs to have confidence in him.
Yeah. We're going to get to Connor McDavid in a minute here, because I think you and I both agree we probably don't talk about McDavid enough on our podcast. It's just like a given that we talk about other stuff, but we have to talk about McDavid. We will in a minute here. Let's go to the Weiss Johnson soundbox. So Jack Campbell, well, remember earlier on this year, he did the media availability where, man, he was so hard on himself and, called his play pathetic. And, his confidence has really, really been up and down so far this year. Bottom line, though, starting goaltending, it comes with pressure, and it comes with pressure on yourself, comes with pressure, to help your team win games. It comes from pressure from the media too, because when things aren't going well, you got to stand in there and you got to answer the questions. So Mark Spector, is our good friend from down the dial, we'll say, was on the road with the Oilers, and he asked a really direct question to Jack Campbell about what he's been going through and how he's feeling now. And I really like the way that Jack Campbell handled this question and answer.
I've been searching for your game for a while. Now it's been here for, several games in a row. It must feel good to have it back again.
Yeah, it sure does. Just trying to keep building on it. Definitely more what I expect out of myself. And team's playing great in front of me. So we're just trying to keep it going together.
I like that answer, Struddy, in a very direct question about where his game's been.
Yeah, I do. I do believe that Campbell's a guy that beats himself up, right? And it's hard. Every professional athlete goes through it. Well, at least most of them that I know. You beat yourself up and you've had a bad game or you're struggling, and it just makes it worse. It compounds it, right? And you have to be able to separate it. And, I think I made this note on the podcast a while ago. We don't know when the turning point for Campbell's going to be. You're also going to wake up in the morning and be like, geez, he's playing pretty well. But you can't say this is the moment, right? I can't point to a moment, but he's starting to put some together. We're starting to see some traction. I think the last couple of games he's played really well. Against the competition, I get it, but there's still good shooters on some of those teams, right? It's not like they're playing, the PB team. So yeah, I'm happy that he's finding the traction, because the Oilers are going to need everybody, and that includes both goalies. All the players are going to need to be contributing at some point during the season. And I'm glad that he's getting this traction, and I hope for him tonight another good start. Win loss, I just want a good start from him.
I agree. He's made a couple of glove saves recently here. One of them ended up being a goal, not his fault. It was still a phenomenal save. And then another one last night. And it would have been nice to see him get the shutout. But though he didn't walk out of there with the shutout, he walked out of there with one of the highlights of the year. So I would think, I'm not sure if that's a consolation to him or not, but what a save.
Yeah, I think when you're in Campbell's position, a shutout would be nice, but it's the process, right? How am I playing? How am I doing? What's going on? Even if they lose that game 1-0, he still feels good about himself, right? Because he's playing well. That's where his game's at. I want to make a note though on that play. So if you noticed, Vlasic is he's on the point, or he is the D man, and he kind of ends up around the net, and that is Puljujarvi's guy. And yeah, Vlasic is wide open, absolutely wide open. He shoots it in, and you can see on the broadcast after he shoots it, Puljujarvi takes a look over his right shoulder, and he's like, oh, That's my guy.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that from Yesa because he realizes that that's his guy. The coach, if I'm the coach, I don't have to come down and say, hey, man, that's your guy. He knows that's his guy.
Yeah.
Learning experience. He didn't get burned. He's lucky. But that is a, part of the game. You can never let your guard down. And the Oilers are getting better at that, right? You never know when it's going to happen. You never know when it's going to go. And then on the flip side, I want another compliment a player. I feel that is kind of a bit of a compliment. On his goal, he kind of gets the puck down to Nuge. And what does he do? He jumps by his check and gets to the net, and Nuge gives it back to him and he scores. So, I'm not pointing the finger at player every in that play, but just to recognize the guys are understanding where they have to be and what their job is. But then on the flip side, he makes a great play and makes the San Jose Shark player look like he's just twiddling his thumb. So, it's great to see that recognition and then, using the same tactics against another team.
You're going to have good and bad moments in a game. And what you got to do is not let your bad moments, sap your motivation and sap your kind of ability to stay on the positive side of the confidence meter. We'll talk a little bit more about that and as it pertains to Dylan Holloway. Let's talk about Connor McDavid, shall we? Let's talk about him. Why not? Only the best player on the planet. So big picture here. He has 82 points in 44 games, 37, 45, 82. That is ridiculous. He's on pace for 69 goals and 83 assists, 152 points. Crazy. 16-point lead on Leon Draisaitl now, and a 19-point lead over everybody else in the National Hockey League. He's shooting at 21% this year. Just another excellent performance, and against a team that they know they need to grab the win. You watch McDavid early in that game, and I'll say Draisaitl too, but that's a sign of a guy that's looking to go out there and just leave no doubt for his team. This guy is trying to will his team into the playoffs, and you see it in performances like last night.
I never thought we'd see a 150-point season. So maybe I'm narrow-minded or I don't like offense, whatever it is, but I just didn't think we'd see that again. I didn't. The way the guys skate, the way goalies play, and even if he gets to 145 I really don't care. Like, those totals are ridiculous. And they had put something up on the game last night that he is, I want to say, the 6th or 7th fastest player to ever get to, is it 82 points in the season?
Okay.
And
I remember the board.
He's the fastest guy to do it since 95. It was Yager, Francis, and Lemieux. I think maybe that was, it was some stat, and I'm not a stat nerd, so I really don't remember, but it just blew me away that this guy is challenging,
old records.
Numbers.
That happened then.
That have happened, years ago when the game was slower, when the goalies were smaller and chubby, it blows me away. And I honestly, you're right. We don't talk about him enough, but it doesn't mean I don't appreciate him. I appreciate what he's doing, but to be honest, it's unbelievable. And it is truly unbelievable. We can talk about the great, the backhand goal that and that's special, no doubt, Sugar. But to think in terms of who he's challenging, in what day, like, coaching's better, or not better, but maybe more detailed. And like, everything is just harder. And he is just tearing this league in half. And it is just, if he gets 150, I'll be so impressed. But it is literally, Sugar, unbelievable.
If the Oilers don't make the playoffs, factoring in the different generations and the point production in those generations, if the Oilers miss the playoffs, it will be wasting one of the great seasons we've seen. I mean, for McDavid not to take what he's bringing to the table right now in this season, not to have the opportunity to take that into the postseason, would be one of the greatest wastes the game has ever seen.
Yeah. I think so. And it just, I agree with the sentiment of the points, but it's also just, getting him into the playoffs. Like, he is doing his part, right? And he needs to be in the playoffs. The league needs him in the playoffs. Quite honestly, if I'm Gary Bettman, every night I'm checking the standings, praying that the Oilers make the playoffs, because what he and Leon did last year in the playoffs, getting to the third round, a young star, a Canadian city, they need him. They need him to make the playoffs. The league needs him to make, and quite frankly, I'm sure Oilers fans feel the same.
What the heck? Yeah, exactly. What the heck were the Sharks doing on that first goal? Have they not watched McDavid shooting from the slot all year long? Like McDavid's, the way that he is attacking the middle of the ice with a couple of quick puck handles, head up, looking at the net. I mean, he wants to shoot from between those hash marks every time he enters the zone now. I can't believe the way the thought process has changed in this player. I mean, to thinking shoot when he gets anywhere near the top of the circles. He just wants to cut to the middle, quick hands, and he is firing bombs from there. And the Sharks just let him walk right down Main Street.
Yeah, it's hard though, man, because if you respect his shot, he dishes and someone's wide open. And if you don't respect a shot, he makes you look like you should have respected. Like he's on another level right now. Like and so all these D-men, I have a lot of sympathy for them. Like
of course you do.
What do you want me to do?
Listen to you today. So much sympathy for the D-men and calling the goalies chunky. The old goalies chunky.
Chubby.
Chubby.
I had one of my goal. I think I've maybe said about it. One of my guy I played with. He'd always have ice cream, and he said a chubby goalie's a happy goalie. And I just love that. They're not chubby anymore.
No, you should see Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell. No, it's not that way anymore.
But no, you know what? It is so hard as a D because you're trying, and then you're not only worried about him either shooting or passing. If you stand up on him, he skates around you. So yeah, I know that's their job, but my God, he's so good. He's so good. It's like stopping Michael Jordan or like it's really, really hard. And I know that's their job, but I mean, I sympathize with him. Like hashtag hug a D-man today.
Yeah. Hug a poor D-man today. If you happen to run into one of the Vegas Golden Knight D-men, give him a preemptive hug. Post Cologne 29. Great handle. Post Cologne says he's the most evolved athlete ever. As we go to the Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions there. He's the most evolved athlete ever. I mean, we watch hockey. Like, we watch tons of hockey. He's the most evolved hockey player. The most highly evolved hockey player that I've ever seen. And when you think about evolving, it's like he's like the next generation of computer software, right? He's 2.0. Everything is upgraded. Everything is a little bit better. The separation between him and everybody else right now in his skill set is absolutely ridiculous. Let's go to the Weiss Johnson soundbox and hear from the birthday boy. Reminder, it's a great time of year to look into a furnace for the garage. And Weiss Johnson's got an awesome deal going until the end of January. No GST on all garage heater installations. I just had one put in, and it is worth it, although I still haven't gotten into my nice warm garage to clean it yet, so no excuses. 20% off also all in-stock air conditioners when you purchase a furnace. So a couple great deals going on at Weiss Johnson right now if you're looking to have some work done. Weiss Johnson. Okay, Connor McDavid post-game talking about all the success that he has been having. Struds, I'll give you one guess as to how the clip went when McDavid was asked about himself. What do you think? How many words?
Campbell was great. Just deflect.
Yeah, totally. Just right to the team. But he had a great game. Let's hear from him.
I feel pretty good. But like I said, it's a better group in here, and we're continuing to try to lay good games down, one after another, and take it one day at a time. Kind of like our second half last year.
It's about the team. It's about the team. It's about the team. Also asked about what putting 2 wins together, albeit against teams that are out of the playoffs, what confidence can be built from back-to-back wins here against teams that are in the lower tier?
Well, it's just confidence in each other, confidence in our system, and putting that belief back in our group. That goes a long way.
Yeah, man, you got to think that he's going to do everything he can to get this team to the postseason, Struddy. Like he's got to be thinking about that every single day because the math is not ideal for this team. You pointed out there's some tough teams chasing them. So I just feel like we're going to see during this push where it could go either way for the Oilers. I feel like we're going to see something crazy from McDavid.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we are. Let's just be honest here. I don't know how much more we can ask of this guy or the team can ask of him, right? Like he's on pace for 150 points. Like it's almost 2 points a game. So what I would shift the focus away from Connor, and I think it's great. But let's talk about some other guys that are finding some traction. I think
let's do it.
So I think we've touched on Jack Campbell, which is and before I start this, what Connor's doing is great, but he doesn't play the whole game. You need other people to contribute and to support him and to help. And it's not about putting Connor on your shoulders. It's about standing beside him and helping him out. So let's go through it. I think Campbell's game is coming around. I think Dylan Holloway, I will admit you were not admit, but you were correct. Like a little bit more ice time, and he's maybe finding some game. And I'm backing off my idea of him being sent down. Yeah. Costin's another guy who's finding some traction. Broberg and Bouchard are really starting to find something together, which is something that I want to know. And Bouchard, we've seen from this. Like I thought last year he played well, especially the second half and in the playoffs. And for Broberg, I really think he's settling in, and he skates so well. And one thing I noticed yesterday when he defends is that he's always on the guy. So and I think of defending, I always liken it to GSP. When I watched that guy fight, he was just on the guy, constantly on him, and just relentless, never giving the guy a chance to breathe, choking him out, punching him. Like he was always on him. And I feel like Broberg plays defense a little bit like that. He's kind of like he's a long octopus who's always on you and just suffocating you, right? And it's hard to make plays. But he also has the ability, skating wise, to keep up with guys. So, I think he's trending in the right direction. And I believe my feelings on exposing him in a trade are rapidly changing. Maybe along with Holloway. You asked me last time about who would I rather trade. And I was kind of, riding the fence, but I think there's something there with both these guys. And I know we have to give up something good, but with like good skating defensemen that can just smother, and make plays. And like he carried it out a couple times, right? He carried it through neutral zone. Like there's really something there. So all these guys are starting to get traction on top of Puljujärvi scoring last night.
Right. Okay.
Fogel, let's give Fogel some credit. He smothers Carlson and attacks the other way. Like more guys are getting involved in the game.
Okay, so let's break a little bit of that down. By the way, to the Weiss Johnson mentions here, Ray Lapp says, guys, I'm telling you, Broberg is starting to evolve. So he agrees with you there, Struds. In our mentions, I sent a tweet before we started the live stream, and I asked for comments. Struds, there's one there. If you can grab it real quick, if you can grab access to it, there's a question there that somebody asks about Broberg and Bouchard in the postseason. And this is kind of one of the fundamental flaws with the trajectory of this team. And here's why. The forward group is ready to compete for a Stanley Cup. The blue line is behind in their development, and they're not peaking at the same time because Adam Larsson and Oscar Klefbom, poof, gone. That's the second pairing. Those are the guys that were a little bit more veteran that would be ready with this group of forwards. They are gone, and there's nothing they could do about that. So they've been struggling to replace them. Now, I agree that Broberg and Bouchard have looked good. And I thought that Bouchard looked good in the postseason last year. So this comment I'm going to make is less about Bouchard and more about Philip Broberg. Do you got that comment, Struds? You want to just read it quick? Can't find it? Okay, no worries. I'll make the point and then I'll try and find it afterwards. Okay. But this is the point I want to make to you, Struds. I agree that Broberg looks better. I agree his game is developing. I agree that by the end of the season, he might be playing some decent minutes and look pretty good for this team. What can you reasonably expect from Philip Broberg going through his first NHL playoff? Can you expect him to maintain a high enough level when they push through to the second, maybe the third round, maybe even further? Would you be surprised if the game got the better of him and he looked like a rookie in the playoffs? And can the Edmonton Oilers afford to take that chance?
Well, it is difficult to project a rookie defenseman. I mean, Bowen Byram had a hell of a run last year, but he was insulated by Taves, Makar, Manson, Johnson. And no disrespect to the Oilers defenseman, but at this point, the Oilers D aren't quite stacking up against that. But I guess this would be my retort, and I've never used that word before, so I'll just slide it in there.
Like it.
If you project Broberg to be a top four defenseman, let's say starting next year, is it now the time to dish out he and whatever it is, whatever the ask is, and are you taking away from other parts of the game you can build on with those assets? So let's say it costs you the second round. It only gets you the second round, but knowing that the next 2 or 3 years with Draisaitl and McDavid, you have the homegrown guy.
Yeah,
it's a hard place to be, buddy. He's cheap.
I know,
he's young,
but
he's only going to get better.
Like if the Oilers lose in the second round of the playoffs this year,
Yeah.
and they're standing there and going, but you know what? Our young guys got some great experience, and look out for next year. I don't think that cuts it, buddy. I just don't think
so?
that cuts it. I don't. I
Okay.
don't. I think that for McDavid doing what he's doing, Draisaitl's doing what he's doing, they got Kane. They've spent the money on their goalie. Like the Oilers, despite what's happening in the standings, never mind the standings, this group is in push for the Stanley Cup right now. And so to be able to say, well, Broberg got his playoff experience and we're sure he'll benefit from it and be better next year. I think the Oilers need to add a proven playoff performer. I think regardless of what Philip Broberg does between now and the end of the season, they need to hit the playoffs with more experience and reliability on their blue line, even if it costs them some futures. And that's why this Chychrun thing, at least if you include Broberg in that deal, you've got a guy who you get 3 kicks at the playoffs with, right? I just don't think second round and out, but, the guy's really learned a lot. Broberg's going to be a lot better next year. I don't think it cuts it with the group.
See, I think what they need to do is constant improvement, constantly improving. You have to weigh what is the value of Broberg in year 1, 2, 3 from now, and the assets that stay here with him versus the benefit of Chychrun in 1, 2, 3. Because you got to keep building. And you're working on under the assumption that Leon and Connor are gone after their contracts, which I have no idea. Who knows what the answer might be. But I can tell you this, that it's not easy as a free agent to go somewhere and choose where you're going to go, knowing or thinking you can win. Whereas I think with Ken Holland, you're constantly adding, constantly building. So when those contracts are up, you say, guys, I mean, we're right there. Look, we have all this stuff and we have assets to still build on what we're doing. So my approach is a little bit different. I am fine with making the trade, but is it so? If this was for Matthias Ekholm at 25, I'm making the deal.
Right.
For Chychrun, he's an upgrade, no doubt. But in a year, is he going to be that much better than Broberg? Do you know that?
Yeah, is he going? Yes, I think he'll be a better offensive defenseman than Broberg is.
Right.
I think.
But is that what they need?
Well, no, but
defenseman.
No, but I think Jacob Chychrun has the athletic ability and the pedigree to be what you need him to be. So if he arrives here and like Jake Chychrun in Arizona, I mean, if he doesn't produce offense, their ability to win on any given night, like they're in a desperate push for offense there, and that's the way he has to play. But when he looks up ice in Edmonton and he's got, on this shift, I've got Kane and Hyman. On this shift, I got Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins. On this shift, I've got, a different set of people. I think if he doesn't feel the push to create offense the way he does in Arizona right now, I think his game can be tailored a little bit to more what the Oilers need. Would you bet against Jacob Chychrun being able to dial it in a little more defensively than what he's done if he thinks that might lead to a Stanley Cup? I don't know that I'd bet against that guy to do that. So comparing him straight across to Philip Broberg, will he be that much better? Yeah, I do think. I think Broberg is improving. Nice mention here in the Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions. Here it is. Bouchard got playoff experience last year. Is he any better this year? That comes from JF, a bunch of numbers. So, I mean, fair point. Like he hasn't necessarily. Now, when playoffs start, I believe if they get there, Bouchard will be better. But Struds, for a rental, I would not even consider it. For a guy with 1 year on his deal, like it won't be for Edmondson, but that type of contract, I probably wouldn't consider it. But to get a player that high end potentially signed right through your window, and not just signed, but signed at a bargain. 4.6, Jake Chychrun is showing is an absolute bargain for his play right now. I don't think giving away young pieces is a good idea either, but I also don't think not pushing all your chips in right now is a good idea. There were years where it was like, no, this isn't the year. This isn't quite the year. Keep your powder dry. Yeah, this isn't quite the year. Look at the West this year. Look at the West. This is the year to come out of the West. This is the year to go all in. You got McDavid going supernova, Draisaitl. They got to have all their chips in the middle this year, Struds, to me.
Yeah, I hesitate to agree, and it's because of the way these guys are playing. And I know I'm not going to be popular, and I get it, but I look at you have patience isn't a word you want to hear, but it seems like when they lose, we got to trade everyone. When they're winning, it's a little bit harder. And I'm always trying to look at the long view of where they're at, and I don't know, man. I'm seeing Broberg, what he's doing. I hesitate to give up on this guy. And I know what you're getting. I hear you, but I'm not convinced that Chychrun's the right guy they need.
Yeah.
And that's what makes that's what makes it hard. And so, I don't know that Ken Holland is going to be aggressive. Maybe he will be, he won't be. Now, let's see how it goes the next 2 weeks. And then you get Kane back, and then you see, okay, well, where are they at playoff wise? And it's not about limping in. Like, I don't want to think people think I'm not in. I do think there's got to be improvement, but it's got to make a difference. I feel like making a trade just to make a trade and cash.
No.
If it's Broberg and 2 firsts, if it's Broberg and 2 firsts for Chychrun, I can't do it. I cannot make that trade.
Well, what if you get a usable forward in return, and they're taking Puljujarvi, and maybe that second first-round pick that you're giving them, maybe they give you a pick back in that draft that's like a third or something. Kind of eases the blow a little bit, right? The two main pieces are going to be Broberg and a first, right? Those are going to be the two main pieces, Broberg and a first in a year where everybody wants their pick. And then you massage that second first, and I don't think the final price is going to be as high as what everybody's talking about. And I think that's what's going to happen. Sure. That second piece will be watered down by what's coming back.
Yeah. And that's fair. And that's where it changes. So now you're shifting the ground underneath me, right? And that's fine. You do that really well. But when I look at the whole situation, it's would he help? Yes, he would. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But what is the cost of other acquisitions moving forward? So if Broberg becomes close to Chychrun, let's say next year, what is the cost of that first rounder?
I think that's too
2
quick.
years.
Okay, 2 years. Let's say 2 years. So he's Chychrun.
As good.
Let's just say 2 years.
And let's say Chychrun gets them to the second round this year. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. I don't know. Can they beat Vegas? Maybe not. I'm not sure. Whoa. So then you go to next year, and now you don't have that draft pick you had, and you have Broberg rapidly improving, and you don't have whatever asset you had moving along. So now you can't make that move either, right? So it's 2 costs of 2 moves you're making. I don't know. We're never going to agree here, or not agree, but I do. I understand
such a
what
good
you guys
debate.
are saying. It is hard.
They're in such an interesting position here because it's got to be go. But the guy that's available, you're right, isn't necessarily the best fit. So Mr. Shodel says, we don't need a D-man of Chychrun style. There are better options available which fit our needs. Maddie Lawn 21 says, I agree with Struds. You can't manage scared that Connor and Leon are going to leave. Big McDonald says, I agree with Ryan. Oilers are in win now mode. Pills04 says it's time to invest in 97 and 29. Pay the price to make the upgrade. I'll submit this to you, Struds. This is how much I think they need to be pushing chips in. Even if Evander Kane comes back and the Oilers rattle off 10 straight wins or however, even if they win every game between now and the trade deadline, I would still tell you they need to get aggressive and upgrade the blue line. I would. I think that the fundamental idea of relying on Philip Broberg heading into the postseason in a year where you have a chance, they do. If the Oilers bring their game around, we saw what they can do in the playoffs. They got to kick at this thing. Go and get what you need. Fill the hole. And don't rely on Philip Broberg heading into a postseason. And we might be in the third round of the playoffs, and by we, I mean them. You and I might be doing podcasts in the third round of the playoffs, and Philip Broberg's playing 16 minutes a night and playing great, and you're going to be looking at me going, I told you so. That might be true, but I still
never do that.
I still think, even if this team has a major turnaround, you still got to make the ad.
Yeah, and I agree. I think upgrading the D makes sense, but the cost is mine. And so listen, let's say you text me today and say the Oilers just traded for Chychrun. I'd be like, okay, like it's a good move, but long term, is it the right move? And that's the game. That's what Ken Holland has to decide, and we debate endlessly. And fans talk about over a couple China Whites, right? It's
Yeah.
What is the long-term cost of acquiring him?
It's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive. And bottom line, I mean, part of their sense of urgency, it's the elephant in the room. It just is. Is Connor McDavid more likely to re-sign here if he's hoisted a Stanley Cup as an Oiler? Is Leon Draisaitl, who's up first, more likely to sign here if he and his buddy just got to the top of the mountain together and hoisted a cup? And now it becomes about legacy. It becomes about, because winning a Stanley Cup in Edmonton would be unlike anything else they might accomplish in their career.
Yeah.
Honestly, winning a cup in a Canadian city, like they already, walk on water. But that would be something so special for these guys to accomplish, and to have them accomplish it together, or for the organization to signal they're doing everything humanly possible to allow that to happen and to support these guys. Does it make it more likely that they stay beyond the length of their contracts? And that's the elephant in the room. And I don't know the answer. Another one said, where is it? Basically made the point that these guys love playing. These two don't want to leave each other. You see all those points together. That's Matty Lawn 21. Like, kind of calling the bluff a little bit and going, they want to stay. They're like best buddies. They'll want to stay. But imagine what Leon Draisaitl could make just totally on the open market, like out on the open market, going somewhere to be the guy. What's that number look like after playing at 6 years at $2 to $4 million below his value?
So let's just, and that'll be my point. So let's say his open market value right now is $12 million. Let's just say he's up there with McKinnon. I think that would be crazy. So he puts $12 million, a hole in a cap of $12 million. It'd be difficult to find a team that has the cap space for $12 million that you're going to win a Stanley Cup with. It would be difficult. And I think that's, Ken Holland, I know that you guys don't want to hear this, but if you keep improving the team and keep steadily filling holes and getting there, when they do get to there, even if they're without a Stanley Cup, you can say, buddy, we're close. We're close. Like, where are you going to go? And I'm not, this isn't like look, you have nowhere else to go. That's not what I'm saying. If your true intention is to win, show me the team that has cap space that can win and are guaranteed to win in short order. But it's going to be tough.
But you know what the other conversation might be, Struds? And this is very real. He might look right back at the Edmonton Oilers and go, yeah, good point. How are we going to win here? Because you're going to have to pay Connor 15 next year.
100%. And they've got to figure that out. So they got to hope the cap. Listen, I get it. But the idea of them going somewhere together, unless they're going to take a discount.
No, that's not happening. I had the
two of them between $25 and $30 million when their contracts come up. So even at the cap, what is it at now? 80, 85?
Yeah, 84 and change, or 85. Yeah,
so even if it goes to 95 in that time, even 100, you're talking 30. Let's call it 20. That's 30. You have $72 million to spend on 21 other players. Show me the team that has that.
Stony Oil says LA Kings. Imagine that if Draisaitl and McDavid ended up in LA.
Okay.
The old Edmonton LA pipeline for the superstar. Oh,
maybe it might be, but what are they going to do with Kopitar, right? Kopitar's contract comes up. They've got to find a goalie, because right now I think
you move on from Kopitar if you have a chance to get those guys. You happily move on.
I don't think their contracts come up the same year. I think Kopitar has 2 more years.
Yeah, so that would be coming up at the same time as Draisaitl.
But then also coming on the market that time is Austin Matthews. Yeah. So I'm always thinking you got to keep building a team so you can say, guys, I know you can go elsewhere, but look, man, we're close. Where are you going?
There definitely is a benefit to building out this team with youth and letting it build and everything. So when their contract is up and they evaluate the roster, they go, oh, this makes sense. Look at all these good young players, and we got, So you can kind of win that way too, but you need to win between now and then. I think you need to win between now and then before those conversations start.
Okay.
Man, we're talking about this. Draisaitl's got 2 full years left on his deal, playoffs this year. Like, but you have to, you got to think about this. You got to think big picture when you're managing the careers and legacies of 2 players of this caliber.
Yeah, you do. There's 100%. And we have no idea what those 2 guys are thinking. And at this point, I'm not sure they know.
Yeah, and why would they? Like, they're in the moment, right? They want to see what they can
100%.
get done here. But
They know they're going to hit the pot of gold one way or the other at the end. It's about winning. I really feel these two guys want to win, so provide them an environment they can win in.
Scrub64 says Matthews to Yotes guaranteed. All right, man. I'm starting to talk about where's Schauger with the greasy 5 o'clock shadow. What the heck? Really, Scrub? Is that greasy?
I'm not sure it's greasy.
Oh, greasy?
That's not greasy at all. I mean,
No, man.
no.
It's my new thing this year. My
Yeah,
my hairdresser was like, man, this forehead is getting really far back. Like, look at how far back that forehead's getting.
deep.
So we decided to start growing this to
Right.
distract the eye a little bit, but I don't
Right.
think it's working.
Get some glasses. That'll distract. Pull the eye
Big
down.
pair of the horned rims, just distract
eye
from
down.
everything.
Yeah.
It's happening, Struddy. It's happening one way or another to both of us. Okay, pal, I know you got a busy Saturday. We'll let you go. This was a robust discussion that went in directions I did not plan for, but I guess that's the beauty of meandering our way through a podcast.
Exactly, and it's on people's minds, right? But tonight, I look forward to hopefully a hotly contested game tonight. If they can get some points out of Vegas tonight, that's actually gonna be a pretty successful road trip. 6 out of 8.
Oh, no kidding. That'd be a massive win tonight. Big picture, they're 5-4 in their last 9, 24 goals against, 34. They've scored 4. And they're good on the road. They're 13-7-1 on the road this year. 10-11-2 at home. So if they can get their home record sorted out, Struds, they got a puncher's chance here. And with McDavid playing the way he is, I don't know. Does it feel like they're about to go on a pretty good little run? Kind of does to me, but let's wait and see what happens. Have an awesome Saturday, pal.
See you guys.
All right, that'll wrap up the podcast and the live stream, folks. Thank you for your participation. Really appreciate it. Thanks to our sponsors, Mid-City Construction Management, and, of course, our good friends at Weiss Johnson as well. Full slate of games coming up this week, so that means a full slate of podcasts. We appreciate your downloads and your subscriptions. Stick with us. Leave us a review on iTunes. Let us know what you think of the pod, the streams, my beard, whatever you want. We're open to any and all criticisms and critiques here on Got Your Back. Have a great Saturday, folks. We'll chat soon. Cheers.